clouds, high up in and wispy good weather out. Zero's try to shoot like I am black. Looks overcast, signaling rain coming the next day. And zero cumulus, small cotton ball like puffs that also are high up. The scales of fish they looking, cumulonimbus. The clouds of thunderstorms, vertical growth. Warm air rises, then cools down. Many water droplets gather round, small and light they stay floating about. Collection of these droplets forms a cloud, and cirrus high up, stratus blanket, cumulus puffs piled up, and nimbus means there's a storm to come. And stratus clouds, though black cover the whole sky, weather out is drizzling rain like cumulus, rounded white puffy develops on days that are clear and sunny. Although cumulus, gray and white patches in my masses, nimbo stratus, they're dark, thick and gray. They're pouring rain, spreading large space, mid to low and late. Stratocumulus, it's like you took a knife and spread them across the sky. No puffy gray or white, then out the stratus, the level copper bluish gray. They're gray, they're gray, they're gray. Warm air rises, then cools down. Many water droplets gather round, small and light they stay floating about. Collection of these droplets forms a cloud, and cirrus high up, stratus blanket, cumulus puffs piled up, and nimbus means there's a storm to come. And
Good afternoon, my first graders. And today for science, we are reviewing everything that we learned about weather and weather tools this month. So we're going to start with just simply reviewing our weather tools. And I even threw in some of the pictures of my students who have already created their extra credit weather tool. Miss Kyler still has it up and available if you would like to do that science extra credit. I will leave it up for a few more days. So here we go. Our first weather tool that we're going to review is the wind vine. Remember this tool, first graders? We know that this tool can be used to track the direction of the wind. Which way is the wind going? And this is my friend Prince. He made a wind vine. Our next weather tool that we learned about was a rain gauge. And we know that a rain gauge helps us track the amount of rainfall we had in our area. The third weather tool we learned about was a thermometer, and this helps us track the temperature. Is it a hot day or a cold day outside? And our fourth tool that we learned about this month was a windsock. And we see two windsocks. And we know a windsock tells us the direction of the wind and the strength of the wind. How fast, not how fast, how hard the wind is blowing or how soft. When it is a soft wind and it's not blowing very hard, we know that the windsock is kind of limp, it goes down. But when there's a nice strong wind, that windsock is full, it's upright, and it's blowing. And here my Jawan made his windsock. He designed it with a couple Spider-Man and other superheroes. And our last weather tool was an anemometer, and we know that this weather tool actually tracks the the speed of the wind. So remember those cups, they spin and spin around and they're hooked up to a computer. If you make one yourself, you actually have to calculate it. But that's not what I needed you all to do. I just want you to build it and see it work. Watch it in action if you chose to build this for your science extra credit. So those were all the weather tools we discussed this whole month, and you all have been doing fantastic. Whenever I ask you about weather tools, just bringing it up in our conversations throughout the month. Next, we discussed the different weather types. The first weather type we discussed was cloudy weather. We discussed sunny weather, which we've been seeing lately. We discussed rainy weather, stormy weather, windy weather, partly cloudy weather, and snowy weather. And during our weather time, we talked about different types of stormy weather and how to stay safe during these stormy weathers. The first type of stormy weather, well, one of the types of stormy weathers we talked about was a hurricane, and we learned how to stay safe. We learned that we should board up our windows. We should have lots of supplies like water, a first aid kit, all those things near us, and know our route to get out if we have to, okay? We learned about thunderstorms and that when there's a thunderstorm, to stay safe, we need to be inside, away from any type of outside water, like like pools or ponds. You don't want to be by them, or tall objects like trees or towers. We also learned about blizzards. Ooh, I'm just so glad we didn't have one here in Michigan. So we learned that to stay safe in a blizzard, we need to stay inside where there's warm. And if we must absolutely go outside, we need to put on layers. And you all gave so many nice examples of how to layer up, what you should put on if you had to go outside. I loved listening to everybody's voice on their class kicks. And another type of weather that we learned about were tornadoes. And we learned to stay safe with a tornado. Make sure you're indoors and go in the basement if you have one. If not, maybe hide under a furniture or go in a closet. Stay away from any windows or glass during a tornado. And you all did fantastic giving me ways to stay safe during all of these types of weather. You were really, really listening, and it made my heart just so happy. Now, let's go talk about the last part of science in our weather, our types of clouds. This is the newest thing that we learned. We started learning about this on Tuesday. So, the first cloud that we learned about was a cirrus clouds. And remember, these form high up in the sky. So they're so high up in the sky. They're very thin and we can see through them mostly. They're wimpy and they're really feathery like. And they predict good weather, pleasant weather. If you look at all these pictures and images, that weather is lovely. The second type of clouds we learned about was cumulus clouds, and these also mean fair weather, but they can produce light rain. They can, not all the time, but they can mean light rain. They appear sometimes by themselves, so you might just see one cumulus cloud. Sometimes they appear in a nice line, and then sometimes they're just clusters. Like all of our images here are pretty much clusters of cumulus clouds. They are very poofy and they look like cotton balls, don't they? But if you notice and you look really closely, my first graders, the bottoms are flat. So it's nice flat and then poofy at the top. And the last type of cloud that we learned about was a stratus cloud. And these clouds are in layers. Can you see the layers there? They can sometimes predict rain, and also they're the lowest clouds to the ground. So whenever you're walking through fog, remember I told you when you walk through fog, you're actually walking through a cloud. You're walking through a stratus cloud. Isn't that just the coolest fact that we learned this month, that you're walking through a cloud? when the fog is out there. So, my first graders, we review everything that we learned for science this month. I am going to send you to Boom Learning and you will do your exit assignment. And that is all for today. Our science have been going by super fast because you're listening and you're learning and you're growing, and I love it. So, my first graders, stay near and dear to your computer. Your boom cards are here, they're coming to you, and I will see you later if I have not already seen you. And if I already saw you, I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, my first graders, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye bye.